Hi guys, happy Sunday. It's your girl Janie and Naj, and for the life of me, welcome back to For the Life of Me. I just literally had breakfast, so if there's food on my mouth, I'm sorry. So, if you're new, where have you been? And if you're returning and subscribed, thank you so much. And yeah, this is For the Long Life. We're gonna be doing this every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is the fourth episode. So we've learned a lot, and um, so if you're new and subscribed and returning, you probably got a notification saying Janie's going live. And if you're watching this on replay, because I'm going to be posting this up, please remember to subscribe and click the bell notification so you do not miss this live episodes. And you can ask me your questions as we go. So if you're new and returning, can you give me a thumbs up so I know that you're my, person? Thank you. So okay, um, I've gotten a lot of questions about schooling and living and working in Canada, but I always want you guys to also know that I do not want to restrict you to just those questions. I can also answer questions about like the culture and the differences based on like my experience in a few other countries. What it is like making friends, navigating Canada to find a job, how to branch yourself even though you do not have Canadian experience as such to get in a job, how to network in Canada because a lot of people get jobs and gigs from people they already know. So it kind of doesn't make sense if you're new, how are you going to know people? But I can help you talk about how to navigate that. And also even YouTube questions, how I got like 2,000 subscribers in less than 2 years and stuff like that. Okay, so and if you have any of these questions, like the questions I'm going to be answering today, you can DM me at bayanaj on Instagram or email bayanaj@gmail.com. And I will be answering your questions live. So excited. Thank you to everyone who's on live right now. So without further ado, I'm just going to go into my disclaimer real quick. Like I always say, I'm not an immigration consultant or a lawyer. So I'm just a friendly face sharing my experience and my knowledge based on what I know after about 3-ish years in Canada. Not yet. So remember to only use my information as like a reference point and not your concrete source. Okay? Okay? Good. So the themes around the questions. Hey, Furo. So the things about the questions today will be how to get a work permit and permanent residency after 2 years taking a postgraduate course. I talk about a postgraduate course or how to do postgraduate diplomas and certificates in my previous live video from last Sunday. So please check it up. I'm going to leave a card right up right there. How to get a job before you actually arrive in Canada. It is possible. It's hard, but it's possible. So we'll talk about that. And also IELTS requirements for English instructed degrees from another country. Those are like the broad themes. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. Okay, so Official Graphics asks how he can get a job. Thank you, Furo. How he can get a job in media in Toronto. He doesn't probably want to school again or doesn't have enough money, whatever his reason is. So I'm just going to say this about getting a job before coming to Canada. It's generally harder to get a job because employers have to interview you the whole process, and if they can't see you physically, it's usually harder to trust that you can do the job. Also, another requirement for from the Canadian government to job employers is they have to prove that they couldn't find someone better suited for that job, that skill in Canada, and that's why they're getting somebody, an expert trade, so to speak, from outside the country. So it's usually very hard to get in. A lot of people who have gotten a job before getting here has actually described the experience as being blessed and lucky as opposed to they're doing it by their own merit. Okay, so especially the media industry. So think about like film production, graphic design, and stuff like that. It's pretty competitive in Toronto because Toronto is a hot movie scene. So it's hard. You're going to be really lucky to get in. But I'm going to put a link to some job search tools in the description box below. Things like Indeed, Glassdoor, Monster, and even the official Canada government job search tool that you can start with and just try your luck. I'm going to be fast with this video because I'm trying to keep it under 15 minutes for people who are going to replay this. Okay, guys? So next question. Um, Derbe is looking for schools that actually give you a job or find a job for you and then deduct your school fees from it. I don't know of any schools that do that. Frankly, I don't see the point for a school to do that because it's just work for them. Why should they find a job for you and then take the money from it when there are people who can just pay tuition straight up ahead? So I don't know of any schools, and I've practically never heard of that before. Thanks, James. Ah, this is so weird. Anyhow, so I've practically never heard of anything like that where a school finds you a job and then accepts you. I've heard of employers, however, placing you in like a postgraduate program if you're working with them already and sponsoring it, but I've not heard of a school doing that, so I don't know about any of that opportunities. I'm sorry. Okay. So the next question by Fidara Fabrics is she's trying to move, or he is trying to move from pure sciences into IT or even like management, and how can she or he find a job after they do a college certificate? Okay, and I remember this question being she's skeptical about colleges because a lot of countries are just very conversant with universities, right? And sometimes going to college doesn't make sense. Hi, Alan. So, what the truth is, from my experience, colleges are actually very suited. They're actually the best choice if you're trying to switch careers, like switch your career path. Because a lot of universities, I remember when I was trying to get to my master's, I have an IT degree and I was trying to do something in media. And even though they're kind of close, because you could do like digital media from IT, it did not make sense to a lot of universities and I wasn't getting accepted. However, a college accepted me like this. And also, something else colleges are good for is a lot of them have internship programs. So it's like you're going to be done and you can do an internship and it's your first foot in the door and you can prove yourself to this employer and then they can actually get you hired full time. So honestly, colleges are like the shit. You should try that, okay? So I actually even also had a lot of master's students who were done, oh sorry, master's graduates who were done with their masters and came back to do it's all right, and came back to do a postgraduate diploma or postgraduate certificate just to switch a career or to get into that a new company. So I hope I was able to answer that. This question is actually really specific. The next question is really specific about Humber's Global Business Management Tuition. Humber, that's a mouthful. Humber's Global Business Management Certificate. And this person, Chinwendu, is asking if the tuition is for all 4 semesters or two. So yeah, do not be confused with that. It's usually 2 semesters, which is 1 year. It's per annum. So the fees on the website say about 16,000 Canadian. That is for the first 2 semesters, 1 year. So you're gonna be paying at least 32,000 just in tuition alone. So I hope you can plan around that. And yes, so she also asked if this is a good course for a general business course, and I say if it is. I looked at the curriculum. It has finance, it has advertising, has operations, it has like a good array of introduction. Hi, I'm answering your question right now. It has a good introduction of everything in the business world, so I hope that helps. Okay, so Nemesit's question, next question is about IELTS and if it's required for postgraduate diplomas, especially since she has her degrees or her certifications and everything has been in English. So that to that question, I'm going to answer that first. Is you really don't. I thought I did. The school says you do. It's actually listed in your requirements. However, when you submit your transcripts to them and they see that it's in English, they never ask for an IELTS. So I wasted money and time studying for it. Not just me. I have a couple friends who also did that. Studied for IELTS, passed it, and did not need to use it because my in Nigeria we were taught in English, so you probably don't need that. But again, confirm. Remember. So her next question was, how do you get a 3-year work permit after 2 years? Okay, living proof again. Do you have to do that simultaneously or one after the other? Hi, Ngochika, I'm coming up to your question. So no, you can't do them simultaneously because they're two different full-time programs, meaning that you're going to be in school every day most times or depending on your schedule. So you can do them simultaneously. I finished one program, which is like about 8 months, started in September, finished in April, started the next one in September, finished in April. And then after that, before in April, I was done. However, I had to do my internship, which I told you about. Summer internship, so from May to August or something like that. So as soon as I was done in April and I got my grades uploaded, I applied for my postgraduate work permit. I'm going to talk about another method where you can apply for your postgraduate work permit and not have to wait. I'm going to make an actual video about that because a lot of people don't know about that. But the whole idea is um, you're supposed to apply before your study permit expires, and that way, even if you get into an implied status, meaning that your study permit has expired and now you don't have any permit, you would already have applied to your work permit ahead of time, and no one's going to kick you out. Okay, so which is already answering the next question. I shouldn't have said that, but it's okay. That's fine. And her next question is, she has 1 year banking experience in Nigeria, I believe. So can she get a good job with that while schooling? Seeing as the rule is you can only work 20 hours part time as a student, I doubt it'll be easy to get a banking job, because banking job usually requires full time hours and even more with that experience. However, there's like part time tech support or part time customer experience support for banks. You could look into that, and that would probably pay you a little bit over minimum wage or just minimum wage. So that's something to consider. And also, you can also do your internship in a bank if you go through like a college program. You can do your internship with the bank, and then that could be your foot into the door. And then you can say, look, listen, I have 1 year experience in this. Can I get a promotion in like 6 months? And that would be a good conversation to have. Remember those job search tools I mentioned? Please check them if you're looking for something, or if you're trying to do your research before you get here, okay? So 2 more questions, and if you have any questions and you're watching live, send them in, because after the 2 questions, I'm going to round this up, okay? Um, so Sheikha asked, I hope I'm saying your name right, I'm sorry. What the time frame is to leave Canada after applying for your postgraduate work permit. So typically, the rule is your study permit expires 3 months after you graduate from your program, your study program. However, it depends. Sometimes the government gets it wrong, because the school can send in the April date. Meanwhile, you have to do an internship after that April date till August, and then it turns out your study permit was miscalculated and it's expiring in August. The rule of thumb is apply for your next permit at least 2 months before you're trying to get. So apply for your next permit at least 2 months before the one you have currently expires. Um, okay, Ulama, I'm gonna get to your question. 1 second. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, if you, as long as you've applied before the current permit expires, you are going to not be kicked out of Canada. Even if that permit expires while you're waiting for them to give you your work permit, you're going to go under something called implied status, and you're allowed to stay in the country. Do not leave, but stay in the country until you get the permit you applied for. So, but the reason people tell you to apply 2 months ahead is in case there's any issues or challenges that come up with the permit, the new one you're applying to, you still have time and you're not on implied status, okay? Um, I hope that answers your question. The last question before I go talk to people on the chat live is from Ugochukwu, who says, um, are 2 postgraduate certificate courses enough to meet the work criteria for your permanent residency? The short answer is yes. You do 2 years of postgraduate, you get your 3 year work permit. And is 7 million naira enough to start life in Canada, tuition and everything? I'll tell you, 7 million naira depends on how you spend money, is cutting it close. Especially because if you're gonna do 2 postgraduate certificates, um, when I calculated it using Google's currency exchange tool, it's about 25,000 Canadian. And if you do 1 postgraduate certificate, it's about 16,000 in Toronto at least. So you only have about 9K for rent, groceries, and everything. And if you're looking, the minimum, like I've talked about this in my cost of living video, it goes from like $800 to 1,000 plus, or up to 2,000, depends on what you want for rent. So you have to do that. You have to do that budgeting yourself and come down to what you think you can manage within your means. So what I might advise you is, as soon as you get here, you might have to start looking for a part-time job ASAP. Okay, so now I'm done with all the questions sent to me previously. Remember, if you have any questions we don't cover in this live, please send it to my email at bayanaj@gmail.com. So let me see what I can really answer real quick on here before I leave. Okay, Ulama is asking if it's advisable to get accommodation before coming or a temporary accommodation. Like I said in my last live video, it's advisable to get temporary, but be in conversations with people about a more permanent place. So when you come to Canada, you can view a place and just say yes or no. But you don't want to sign anything before you come here and actually see the place, so you're not catfished into a longer contract than you want to be in. Hope that answers your question. Anderson is asking if Thank you. If I have any information about electrical engineering fees and a job in that field, no, I don't have at the moment. I'm sorry. And I don't know what you mean by an associated degree, so I can't answer that right now. And what GPA is good enough for electrical engineering degrees, it depends on the school. So that again, I would need more clarification and detail to answer. Um, Alan is asking, I currently have a graduate degree in mass communications and I intend to do a PG diploma in related field. What are the GPA requirements for PG diploma? And can I please send you links to it? So I can tell you this: go if you're trying to come to Ontario, or make a quick Google search, colleges for postgraduate studies in the province, and the list will come up. And the GPA requirements depends on the school, so I can't tell you what it is exactly. And again, it depends on your GPA scale. Some countries are a 4 point scale, some countries are a 5 point scale. So that would not. There's no one definite answer to that. Hi, can I apply for PR after 2 years of university? John, short answer is it depends. What do you do in university? Is it a master's program? Because if it's a master's program, you don't need to work 1 year. Most provinces have a graduate stream. If it's an undergrad program, you might have to still work for a year before you get into the PR pool, the permanent residency pool. Oh, okay, last question by Shaker, and I have to round up. If I apply for a 1 year postgraduate certificate and want to do another program, do I have to apply for an extension of your study permit? Yes, you do, because your study permit is only tied to that first program. So as soon as you're applying for your school, you're applying for, and you get your admission letter, you have to apply for another study permit. Do you know what it's like for minimum? Alan, I can't answer your question. It depends on minimum requirements, depend on the school you're going to. So with that note, I would like to end this live video today. So remember, any questions, more than school questions I can answer, remember to DM me or on Instagram at buyanaj or email at buyanaj@gmail.com. Thank you to the 19 of you who showed up on this live channel today. It means a lot. I'm blessed to be able to answer your questions. So please do me a favor and share this video with somebody. Give it a thumbs up and remember to click the bell so you do not miss any of my videos. Thank you guys so much, and please have a lovely week. You are great, and whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve it. Remember that. And with that, I'd like to say thank you and bye. Good night, guys.